Hi, welcome to the Village of Buchanan Board of Trustees Workshop Meeting, Tuesday, October 25th, 2022. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so this evening we have some show and tell. We have a presentation from Certainteed, which is I'm going to say it wrong. I call it sheetrock. It's wallboard. Drywall, whatever it is. So, Paul, thank you for coming, but if you could also introduce who's with you tonight and for your presentation, and that would be great. So you're first up at bat. Yeah, come up to the microphone.
All right, so how's everyone doing?
Great.
Good. Thanks for coming, Paul.
Yeah. And then Marcus, so you just say.
Yeah, you tell me when you want me to switch, yeah.
Perfect. Can you hear me okay?
I think that worked. Okay, perfect. So how's everyone doing? My name is Paul Woolweaver. I'm the Certainteed Gypsum Wallboard Plant Manager, wallboard, not sheetrock. Very excited to be here. Myself, Attorney Anthony Mirando, he's here with me. Thank you to the mayor and the board members for having us tonight, giving me the chance to formally introduce myself as plant manager and also talk a little bit about our plant. We're very happy to be your neighbor and your business partner. We've been in the community for over 50 years, and we're looking forward to the next 50. Next slide. So for those on the board that do not know our location, we have 39 acres right there on the Hudson River. We're right next to the nuclear power plant. We're on the southwestern end of the village, and our property backs up to the quarry there, and that's the town of Cortland property line. Next slide. So you could see we were founded in 1967, 55 years of operation. As from the timeline, you can see that the companies have changed a lot over the years, 4 different times, but the employees and the families remain the same. We have some employees that have been in the plant almost 40 years. Next slide. So a little bit about us, what's unique to us, our site. So we get all of our gypsum. You need gypsum to make gypsum wallboard. And we get all of that from the river, so that direct water access is.
Nope, that wrong.
Check. No problem. So we get all of our gypsum from the water, so we need that direct water access. That's integral. Our site includes docks, loading areas, etc. And then the unique thing is we're the only gypsum plant in New York State, only operating gypsum plant in New York State. So why has our plant been able to survive over these 50 years? Well, that deep water access is pretty important. It's critical. The location also being an hour away from New York City, we're able to get unmatched customer service down into New York. So for example, we get an order at 8 o'clock in the morning, we can get it down to the city by 4 o'clock that afternoon. Next slide. So what's most important to us is our people. We have 134 employees on site. We have less than a 5% turnover rate. So like I said, many of our employees have been there a very, very long time. These people are the people that are in your community. They raise families, put their kids through college. They worship here. We have 2 unions on site, Teamsters Local 456 and also Local 30 operating engineers. And one unique thing, we make up about 14% of all the jobs in the village. Next slide. A little bit about our sustainability program. So something that's pretty important to us as a corporation and also a plant is we have an initiative to be net carbon zero by 2050. Our motto is to making the world a better home. In 2019, we were able to install one of the largest rooftop solar farms in New York State. Some of you actually came to the ribbon cutting. A 2.4 megawatt capacity, 7,000 solar panels. It's a community solar program. And our panels provide electricity to the families in the direct area. And one other thing around sustainability, we're able to operate with all state required permits, and we have a strong compliance history. Next slide. So something I'm pretty excited about is actually working with the school district. We have a huge initiative for Project Lead the Way. Some of you may have heard of that. We have mentorship opportunities and sponsorship. Furthermore, we're bringing students into the plant. We were actually talking about a 10-student plant tour in the fall, so they can understand firsthand what we do. Our hope is to find local students so we can help them reach their full potential. And then maybe one day they can come back and work with us in the future. Next slide. So we're also very active in the community. I've met many of you in many of the different events. You can see from the many great organizations we work with up on the slide. And we're always looking for more opportunities and more ways to support the community. Next slide. So as a plant, we have financial responsibility to the village in the form of taxes and to the state. As you can see from the graph, we pay a significant amount of property taxes per year. In the last 5 years, Buchanan Plant paid almost $4 million in property taxes. And you can see in 2022, we're going to pay almost $830,000 in property taxes, and $486,000 of that goes to the local school district. Furthermore, we are paying approximately $2.6 million in total taxes as a plant. That's my portion of the presentation. Now I'm going to turn it over to my attorney, Anthony Miranda.
Good evening. My name is Anthony Miranda. I'm an attorney with Cuddy and Fader, and I'm working with Certainteed on their Buchanan site. I hate to use that word attorney when our clients say it. I'm not really that kind of attorney. I'm the land use guy. So we typically interface with boards and communities on local development projects or in just helping people understand their rights and their properties. As you may know, we submitted a letter a couple months ago just seeking to come before you. So first and foremost, thank you for hearing us and letting us come in and talk to you. We're grateful for that. We thought it'd be beneficial to open the line of communication with this full board. I know there's some new members over the last couple of years. So certainly Paul was excited about the opportunity to introduce ourselves to you. Over those last couple of months, we've been monitoring what's going on in the village as we typically do, but we've been noticing some discussions on the vision for the village, particularly with its waterfront. As one of the primary landowners along the waterfront in the village of Buchanan, this is why we thought it was appropriate to take the opportunity to come in and speak with you. We hope tonight is just one of many discussions going forward. We're not looking for an ask tonight of any kind. We're simply trying to open up that line of communication and give you a little bit of feedback on who Certainteed is and what we've been seeing. So if we go to the next slide. So one of the things really quickly, just in terms of structure, the local planning considerations that we've been looking at is, number one, of course, the village has a master plan that's existing and in place. And another thing that the village has been working on jointly with the town of Portland is a LWRP, or Local Waterfront Revitalization Plan. I'm not sure if everybody had a chance to look at that document. I know it's rather long and something that's been in the works, but it is still draft, not yet final yet. The LWRP is a document that is intended to help develop a vision for a community along their waterfront, but it's also a document that is guided by New York State policies and requirements when they create that document. An example of one of the policies is that it's required to facilitate and encourage industrial and water dependent uses. I think you probably saw or heard, and not a surprise, Certainteed is a water dependent use. It's critical to be on the water, critical to have that deep water access, and critical for its delivery of raw materials to survive. I think we can go to the next slide. So by definition, it is a water dependent use, and it's something that should be considered as part of an LWRP conversation. Again, not looking to get too deep in the weeds on the LWRP tonight, but we wanted to at least flag a couple statements in the document, just so you can see what they're seeing and why they may have some concern with the draft language. Oh, sorry, Marcus. Go to the next slide. Thank you. So as you can see in this text, and we can read it, but you can see it there yourselves. There's a glare. The LWRP ideally promotes future planning and zoning actions that will transition waterfront manufacturing gypsum plant, over time to mixed uses that are not industrial. So clearly, that's something that raises the eyebrows for CertainTeed, given their what they've done on the site, their commitment to this community, their commitment to the facility, and fortunately, they're thriving. So that's a good thing. With this text, we were hoping to foster future discussion and consider whether or not there's some opportunities for edits and discussion and hearings and how the public process moves forward. But in addition to this, one of the other planning considerations that we've also been monitoring is the potential for a change in zoning. Considerations for the vision for the M2 zoning district. We go to the next slide. The M2 district is where CertainTeed's property is located, as you know. There's a handful of major parcels in that location, and we're one of them. You know this, I'm telling you something you already know, but it includes that 60-acre area in the northwest corner. Then there's of course, the nuclear power plant, Holtec, or the Indian Point facility in the center. And then we're sort of on that southwest corner. Again, not looking to get too deep into this consideration for tonight, but to flag some things to think about as we go forward. We think our location in this district is actually fairly unique and helpful. We're not in the middle. We're not in the area that has been the focal point for the development in the north. We're on the southern edge. So it's not as though you would necessarily need to rezone that site as part of that consideration because of its proximity on the outskirts of that district. I'd also just wanted to summarize a couple quick points. CertainTeed, we think, is a vital resource and a vital economic resource for the community, not just the village, but also the state. We think there will be opportunities for this village to capitalize on CertainTeed being in this location by diversifying your tax base in that area. Certainly something the board would probably be considering as it goes forward. And we'd hope for the opportunity to continue this dialogue in upcoming meetings or work sessions that would be appropriate. I don't think we have much more to add at this point, other than just to say thank you for having this opportunity, and look forward to keep the conversation going.
Thank you, Anthony. And Paul, could you come up? Because I have a few questions. Marcus, can you go back to the first slide? Because I don't think people realize where, I think you're considered an international port. Yes, the first one. So I don't think people realize that the public realizes that this ship came from.
It actually comes from Spain. So we get our gypsum out of Spain. It's on the southern end of Spain, and it comes over. Takes about 15 days to get here, and it takes us almost about 5 days to discharge.
And then that from the ship goes up on a conveyor belt.
That's correct.
Just to
Yeah.
let people know, that these big ships do come up and down the river,
Yeah.
and
they
from
do.
Spain, no less.
They do.
I know we've been trying to organize a tour of the plant for the board.
Yep.
So if you could please get back to me, because I've been on the tour and Sean's been on the tour.
Yep.
The both of us have been in 2019 with the solar panel ribbon cutting. So if you could just give us some more dates, I think the board would be interested in seeing how the plant works.
Yeah, I've never had I've never toured the plant. I would love to be able to
Okay.
see what you guys have over there, and
And truck traffic. So I think and we touched on this
Yes.
once before, but I think it's something that we, the village and Certainty can work on together. I did like the sign at the bottom as you're coming off on
Yes.
Welcher Avenue. One day I had the biggest smile on my face when I saw it. I said, oh, thank God. So, but Marcus has contacts with the DOT. So I think we can work better together to not have them come off that exit, come through Blakely Avenue, come through the village, because there has been times.
Yes.
And these guys aren't from the area. They get
That's right.
lost. They listen to they follow the GPS, and
Yep.
there they are in the center of the village with this big tractor trailer. So, and I've seen them go over the curb. When I see it, I ask them, oh, are you looking to go to Certainty?
know.
And they go, yes. So I said, just follow me. So I take them back behind the diner.
Yep.
And so we just, I don't know whether it's on your part, giving better directions to them, or, with the state, if the state would partner with us.
Yeah, and I will work with Marcus there, because if we can do something with the DOT on Route 9 to actually get some signs, that would like we talked about many times. It'd be wonderful to be able to tell them to blow past Welcher and go down to Louisa Street.
Yeah,
It's the
that'd be
key. That's
perfect.
the key.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
And, we do have a lot of truck traffic on Blakely, on Broadway, and, we've had conversations about that, but we'll,
Mhm.
we'll continue to have conversations about that. But you've also mentioned that you do have there's another business that you're looking to start.
Yep. You're talking about the circular economy.
That one.
Yep.
Yes.
So there's a lot of speculation on what circular economy means. And I want to make sure that I dispel the myth that we're talking about waste here. So when you think about what a circular economy is, we make wallboards, okay? That wallboard goes to the job site. When they use that wallboard, there's going to be pieces that they don't use, unused wallboard. So whenever they cut out a window, a door, things like that. What we're talking about is taking those pieces, bringing those back to the plant, put them back into the process so that we can actually not have it go to a landfill, which that's the idea, and I got to imagine everyone here doesn't want stuff going to the landfill.
I'm glad you clarified that,
Yes.
because I'm thinking that my mind, when I heard it, that it's when during renovation, you'd be
No.
ripping the sheetrock. Old.
We're not
used-
talking
okay.
about demolition. What
Okay.
we're talking about is wallboard that's unused coming back to our site rather than going to the landfill and going back into our process. So that way we don't, and that's the whole circular economy thing, where we're not applying to the landfill.
Who's organizing that?
So it's a corporate initiative. So we have actually people at the corporate level, and then that's really where it's organized, is at the corporate initiative.
Quantity amount that you're gonna have people involved,
Ye-
at like 10,000 sheets or something, because most renovation work, 4, 5, 6 houses, you gotta have a dumpster full. of sheet rock.
Well,
How is that getting?
it's a pilot program right now. They told me that they could get 10 tons in a 3-month period. So there's nothing, it's a nothing, right now it's a pilot, so I can't speculate.
And Anthony, I'm sorry, I
Okay,
just want to
sorry,
mention
yeah.
just one thing. And then Anthony, you had spoken about the LWRP. Nick Zachary is in the audience. He's our representative from the village. He was involved at the inception of it, and we've continued to, keep him on top of that, because Nick has done a great job with that. So, but we will have public comment in the village also. So we'll let you know when we're having that.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm sorry. And we will
Sure.
continue to work together. This is, we're one community here. You're part of our
Yes.
community. We need to have better communication, and going
Yes.
forward,
Love it.
I'd like to
Love
see
it.
that, because we have organizations here also,
I know
like,
you do.
Buchanan Day, our beautification committee. So that would be nice.
Sure.
I know they had only once, while I was on the board, contributed to Buchanan Day. So I'd like to
Sure.
see more of that. And more of you coming to Buchanan Day, to represent
I understand.
certainty. Okay, thank you.
The draft LWRP states that there's no recommendations at this time for the M2 zone at the Lafarge site in the short term. However, in the long term, any work adjacent to the quarry should be coordinated with the town of Cortland. That's later on in the draft LWRP. And one of the things I was curious about, it said that you're using 100% raw gypsum. Back in 2006, 2007, you guys had applied to use synthetic gypsum because you were getting short on, the synthetic gypsum was easier to come by. You were picking it up in Virginia. And you did dock modification because you couldn't use a conveyor belt. You had to use a crane. I was wondering, and also towards the end of 2008, I believe it was, there was also some work to do grinders so that you can use synthetic as well as natural gypsum. So why was there a move away from that?
When Paul heard the word LWRP, he quickly looked at me, so I jumped up, but
That's okay.
I'm certainly not the gypsum.
No,
guy.
I understand.
But I will say, I think the 100% was also referring to how it's received at the site. It's received by the water. So that's the way it's transferred in, whether. it's-
Okay, so you're still using the two different
But I'll let
forms
him answer
because although they are the same chemical form, they're different
Sure.
physical form. That's why there's
100%.
different types of offloading and different grinders. So are you still using the mixture of the two?
We have both on site. We have synthetic and we have
Okay.
natural.
And also, when you're talking about the circular economy,
Sure.
what prevents you from doing that now? As you know, probably close to 20 years ago, the plant was under a consent order to remove their waste pile. They did modification to the plant and they incorporated the waste into its product stream.
That's right.
So if you were allowed to do it before, why can you not do that now?
So, sorry,
Go ahead.
you answered the technical side. I'll answer. I don't think Paul's saying that we can't do it now. I think it was just an interesting thing that came up in conversation.
Mhm.
And we just wanted, because we had a question about it, we wanted to make sure we answered it. But I agree with you. It's still part of the raw material coming to the site to be converted to gypsum. So it's just something more interesting about the sustainability of their production, I think was more of the point.
And also towards the end of 2008, there was a funding issue with completing, I believe, part of the circular economy. There was going to be another modification done to it, chemical storage to incorporate some other products. I was wondering if you guys were going to revive those plans. You had a formal application in front of the planning board in 2007 and 2008. And we were ready to go for it, but there was a funding cutoff. So I was wondering if those types of plans would be revived, because that was also to increase your production capacity as
Yeah.
well as increase some conveyors and some other chemical storage facilities.
I do not have, I don't have that information in front of me. I can't speculate. I'd have to get back with you on that one. Because it's been so long. I wasn't here for that.
And also on your solar project,
Sure.
it's 2.4 megawatts. However, that's DC. What is the AC after you convert it? That's what goes out to the grid. I think it's like 1.6 or 1.7 megawatts is what you get tax credits for.
I
Is that
think,
correct or no?
once again, I don't want to speculate, but yeah, I think it's over two.
Oh, it's over to after
yeah,
conversion?
Over 2 million kilowatts or something like that, but I would have to get back.
Only 2 megawatts. That's
Yeah.
2,000 kilowatts. Yeah, if you just let me, I can't, because when I was there, I just don't remember that.
Absolutely. I'll get back with you. I'll let
Thanks.
you
That's all the questions I have. I appreciate it.
know.
Do you have any questions for us? Oh, that's a loaded question.
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you. All right. So yeah, just get back to me and we'll set up a tour for the board. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for allowing us to come in.
All right,
tonight.
thank you,
Appreciate it.
Anthony.
Thank you, guys.
And Paul. Okay. So we have some workshop discussions. Marcus, regarding the filming permit for American Pickers. I know you had sent out an email.
Yeah, I got at least 2 responses. Doesn't look like anybody else is objecting to it. They're gonna be at the Wick Building. American Pickers. wants to-
Don't tell the date. You don't want the place.
No, I don't want to, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
name the date.
Oh my
No,
I don't
no,
think they,
I would stay away from
We'll
that.
have
I don't think
bumper
they
to
even had
bumper.
set a concrete date, did they? I don't think they did.
They
It's not a
have as
permit,
of
yeah.
today.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so the idea is the next meeting, it'll be very close to the filming date, so they want to make sure the production is ready and stuff like that. So at the next meeting, you approve it. I'm not going to release the date, and they'll be filming at the Wick, and we'll be receiving the fee for that filming permit.
Okay, good.
Okay?
Mm.
It'll be a 1-day shoot.
Oh,
That's
all
it.
right. Fine. Yeah, the fee is in the code.
Yes, it is.
Okay, peddler's permit for Sunrun.
That's a solar panel company. They
Mhm.
want to come in for a year and They want to go door to door from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday.
If I'm not mistaken, we've approved this permit before for a similar company, correct?
That was Empire Solar that we did in February, and they never came back to pay or get their permit. They never picked it up.
However, the board did approve it.
You
Yeah,
approved it.
and it's under the same terms, and this is gonna be the same terms and conditions that were previously approved for a separate company,
Well, I don't
correct?
know what Empire wanted to come. I don't remember what they wanted to.
Well, we had an
work
issue. They
around,
wanted to
but
come earlier on a Sunday. We said no
we said
Sundays.
no.
We said we wanted it to be later in the day. And I don't know if we said to 7 o'clock,
I
because
can-
when they wanted to do it in the winter, 7 o'clock would have been dark and we wanted them to be from 10 to sunset, I thought it was.
Just to add to that, Sun Run did come into this village at some time prior, so, because that's who I obtained my panels with.
No, I,
So, yep. Yep.
yeah,
I was under the
we-
assumption at the time that they, must have had a permit, but either way, we did end up putting the panels on from Sun Run, so.
Okay.
but there again, if it's gonna be for a year, in the wintertime, sun sets around 5, 6 o'clock. So I would be more comfortable amending the times to 10 a.m. to sunset.
'Cause
I would
nobody
agree
wants-
with Sean on that.
Yeah. Nobody
Yeah,
wants, it's
you don't
it's
want somebody
dark.
banging
You
on
want
your
somebody
door.
knocking on your
Right.
door.
And in
Sounds
the summertime, it's gonna be a little bit later. So
Yeah.
you could say sunset or 7, whichever is less,
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any information, Marcus? I think I reached out to you as to how many of these permits the village currently has that are active?
None,
None. Okay,
none.
Yeah.
Thank you.
but there have been a lot of solars installed.
They have, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
All righty, so Marcus is going to discuss the archive social.
Yeah, what's going on is with Facebook. I don't use Facebook. Some people use Facebook. Excuse me if I'm saying the wrong stuff, but people can post stuff and they can delete it. So we have a Facebook page for the village. People post stuff, but we are using for one-way access to give information out, but people still post stuff, but we're not publishing that information. That's considered a record on the state of New York. So the state requires that us to keep those records for a number of years. The problem is with Facebook, if you delete it, that document is gone. So this company, Archive Social, actually the village of Croton just hired them to archive that information, but we have no access to save that information on Facebook. But Archive Social has a way to go on Facebook, on our Facebook page, and monitor what everything is going on. So when everybody posts anything, if we post anything, if we post against something like that, we don't post it, but we'll save it. So in case we actually, there's a FOIA request regarding the topic, we have to release that documentation to the third party who will ask for the FOIA. There is a fee related to that. The fee, I just got the fee today. It's about $3,588 a year, $299 a month to
Wow.
archive that information. So I checked with the village of Croton. They say they needed it to actually comply with New York state law. So they started doing it. Other municipalities are doing it as well. So I'm just throwing it out there to see if the board is willing to entertain this or get rid of Facebook.
I thought the FOIL law said anything we create, we have to be able to supply. But when somebody puts it on our website, that's not a record that we maintain. And the FOIL law says we do not have to create a record. So just because somebody posted on us doesn't mean it has to be retained. If we put the post out there, if we put that information out there, it's foilable. But not if somebody just writes on the website. That's the interpretation of the law.
That's correct. I can say you the section of the law. So if a document is given to the village, now it's a document that we have in possession. So therefore it is foilable. So any documents that we receive either electronically or paper or emails are all foilable documents, but we have it in our possession.
Does Stephanie agree with
Yeah.
that interpretation?
Stephanie's on. Steph?
Stephanie, do
You
we
know-
have to create a records retention policy for something that we did not create? For
I would like to
for
look up,
Facebook?
this is the first I'm hearing of Facebook and other people's comments. Because if they're deleted, I'm not sure why we would be responsible for making sure they're recoverable. So I would like to look that up myself.
Sure.
Especially since we weren't the government agency did not create the record. It did not put out the post. However, if we were to respond to a post, I could see where we would have to keep that.
Correct.
I
So
would
Stephanie,
agree.
yep, so Stephanie, I'll send you the section of the law and the information and we could discuss it, we can continue discussion in the next meeting. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd really like to keep Facebook because, it's a way to communicate with the residents and, when we have events and different things going on, it's just, it's something nice to have for the community. But that's a steep price. So see, okay.
It is. Can we go back to the peddler's permit? for a
Yes,
minute?
please.
So Empire Solar, you gave permission to go door to door between the hours of 12 and 6, Monday to Saturday, but not more than 2 times a week.
And they're going to be here. How long was long of their request? Because this is like a year. They should be able to
Was
cover the
there-
village.
Was there a years also?
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah. If they, right, if they would have picked it up.
Why don't we do a cutoff of 12 to 5, until 5?
I'm good with that.
Yeah. Because it's going to get dark at 4:30 pretty soon too.
Yeah, but to 5, at 6 o'clock, you're cutting into people's dinner time, I don't know, just a thought.
Think about it. We're gonna vote on the next meeting.
Yeah, okay.
All right, all right. So
Yeah,
think about
we
it.
can still have it on the
Sunset.
agenda and we can amend the agenda, the resolution next
Mhm.
week.
Correct.
Sure.
Correct. Yep.
Thank
And
you.
then we can get back to them too.
Yeah, I'm not against it. I just don't want people to be inconvenienced. Yeah, exactly.
Well, he said it was only this one guy. It was only
Right.
gonna be one guy.
Oh, so it is going to take them a
So it
year.
might take him a year, right? I know.
The application doesn't say one guy.
Letter?
Yeah.
Oh, it did.
The application doesn't say one person. It's for anybody to come in and pedal. So they can say, well, we're only gonna have one person and then next week they're gonna get 5.
Yeah, I read the
Oh,
letter.
did he? Okay. It will, if the application says one person, they'll be limited to that. They operate by the application, not their letter.
We can clarify that. If it's one
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
specific person or just one
Said it
person,
was
they can
just
be
him.
anybody.
He said it would just be him. So we'll see. I'll talk
We get
to
his
him.
ID, we'll give it to the
Yeah.
cops.
Right.
Trust but verify.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Yeah.
know. Okay, thank you.
Marcus, do you have anything else for us?
Nothing tonight, no.
Okay. Board members. Oh,
Come to the mic. Come to the mic. Have a photo ID. Yes.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Come on up.
Just clarifying that the vendors are required to have a photo ID because, if somebody comes to your door at 5 o'clock in the winter and it's dark already, a lot of people are going to get a little nervous.
Sure.
Is that a requirement?
Should be. I don't think it's in our code, but I'm sure there's some law someplace.
Okay.
Probably a
Would
corporate
be my
policy
opinion
as
that it
well.
should be a requirement.
Yeah, it's probably a corporate policy as well, but we can.
Yeah,
check
I
that.
believe it has to be a corporate policy. They have to
Yeah.
have a name tag.
Okay, Sean, do you have anything for us this evening?
Yeah, I was just wondering why Con Edison modified the fence behind 3208 Albany Post Road a week or so ago and did some excavation. I was wondering, because I know we gave them a permit to install the fence. I was wondering if they got a permit to change the fence
Is that,
For Windows Auto Body Shop area?
in the,
In the back, yeah.
Yeah.
Window was on their property and they segregated all that property line.
yeah, they did that a couple months ago. Then the fence was modified 2 weeks ago and excavations took place. Oh, okay. All right.
So, did they excavate property, you say?
They moved the fence back and moved it to the south and dug it out and put a couple more parking spots back there.
oh, so I.
And then
think-
dumped the spoils in the other troubled property.
Hmm.
I didn't say any names. I could be totally wrong. Well, that's Con Edison's property. That's why I referenced Con Edison.
Oh, great. I appreciate that. Thank
I
you.
guess start with Con Edison first, if they did it, and then if
Mhm.
not, then.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Sean.
Thanks,
Just
Sean.
curious.
Yeah,
There's something I see when I drive to work every day.
Yeah.
Also, I know, last month or a month and a half ago, I asked for an update on the village owned property in back of Monroe Park that has the 2 that is being used as a parking, lot. And I know last year we were supposed to get some indemnification or some insurance. I was wondering where that was because the cars are still there. And as far as I know, we're still responsible for anything that occurs on that property.
That's correct. They have an attorney. We did the survey. We provided with the information. Their last email from the attorney, which was a couple of weeks ago, that's talking to the client and want to come back to us. So patience is running low. And the situation is, we might have to have discussion in executive session what the options are. We've been trying to work with them to come back with some kind of license agreement for the board to review. We have not received anything as of
So
today.
this has been going on for a couple of years.
At least 2 years, absolutely. Yes?
So we don't have a court date set.
No.
And also, I was wondering about the status of the illegal dumping that occurred at St. Christopher's Church several months ago.
No,
Do we have the violations issued and any court dates for that? So what's the status?
Mike, you have to talk to the mic. We have that discussion in executive. We have to.
All right, we'll talk about it in executive
Yeah.
session. Okay. A couple of months ago, I also talked about the posting for the administrator's job that's on our website, and it has a pay scale of 70,000 to 103, and I had requested that we increase that. According to our code, we can set the administrator's pay and benefits at anything we want. It's not on a fee schedule. So would the board care to change our posting so that we're in compliance with the exemptions?
That's probably, I'd like to discuss that in executive session.
Okay. And for the last couple of months, when I look at the bills, the credit card is still in Kevin's name still. Was there? Are we gonna start,
Kevin's
we
still
should start billing Kevin if he's the one
Yeah.
that's gotten the charge card.
Hey, we don't use his card or anything,
Okay,
but I just.
so
haven't
shouldn't
done-
it have
haven't
somebody?
done the Paperwork yet. I'm busy.
Okay. All right,
It's on my list.
sure. All right, that's all. Thanks.
Cindy, we know you're very busy.
yeah.
And Cindy's good. She comes in on weekends and stays
Try.
late, so. Thank you, Cindy. Steve.
Yeah, back in September, we had the joint meeting with the zoning and planning boards, and I was just wondering if we had an update. I think we were gonna receive a red line of the accessory apartment code, and we're gonna look at it.
Cindy did a great job trying to summarize everything that was discussed.
Mm.
Waiting for some comments from from Peter and from Stephanie to finalize those comments to get back to the joint board. And then everybody will share with everybody, and then we'll have another joint meeting, and they can red line or change anything they want.
Great. And is there any update regarding David Smith and the lot coverage that we approved? last
I can
meeting?
find out for you.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll get an update on that. And then the last thing I had was, I heard from a couple of residents regarding the water rate. With the bills recently going out. Is there anything that you could shed some information on that?
I had a discussion with another resident, and I tried to explain to him that the majority expenses is the water that we buy from Montrose and Peekskill. I would say 90% of the budget is that. The rest are supplies, materials, and salary. I can actually give you an itemized list so you can see what it is.
Sure.
That's what the cost is. There was a substantial payment that was done by Holtec in the past due to a meter that was broken, and they pay substantial amount and Entergy paid a substantial amount, never fixed the meter for years. So we overestimated them. They paid it. Holtec came in, saw that bill, they fixed the meter, so that revenue was gone when Holtec took over. So that also gave us a negative impact to the budget as well. I try to explain that to the resident as well. And I told him, you want to itemize accounting, I can more than happy to share it. The cost is the cost of the water being purchased.
So you're saying the cost that is the consumers are picking up now is due to the excess that Entergy paid?
That was part of it. And that we lost that revenue, an extra revenue source, and then also the water rate increase from Peekskill and Montrose.
Because they're having multiple complaints as well.
Yeah.
You know, and I looked into it a little bit with Sharon and she didn't give me that update, but I'm
Yeah.
glad that you explained that.
Absolutely.
It's
I'll
just-
be more than happy to share, give you. an
Yeah, I
analyze
mean,
what
I've had
revenue
complaints
expenses
where
are, what it is.
it's doubled and tripled in some cases.
Right. Mhm.
And their water use was down according to them. Close, so
Yeah, and,
I'm just looking for an answer.
and
to
each
give
one resident gave me what his concern is. So I was
Mhm.
gonna actually compare it to, like, if you lived in Peekskill or Croton.
Yeah.
So you could do a comparison of that, where we stand with the other municipalities.
good.
So I was gonna do that too. So I can
Yeah.
share that information with you when I have it.
Well, the Montrose Improvement District is a different rate than the Peekskill water
That's
rate.
correct.
So in the past, Peekskill was more expensive. Is that still the same?
It depends when you hit the surcharge, right? Then in Montrose, it's more expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, so people really don't understand the surcharge. Could you go over the surcharge, please?
Sure. What happens is Montrose buy their water from New York City. So what happens, New York City grants you a certain amount of water that you can use. When you go over that they actually charge you a surcharge. It's almost like Con Edison does when you have a sports facility with big lights. When you turn on that, they actually hit you with a surcharge. So when we get over that certain amount, we hit a surcharge. So we try to buy more water from Peekskill, because Peekskill has their own water system. They're not paying any water from New York City. So we try to balance it out, but we can't draw too much water from Peekskill, so we have to balance out both. So we actually are charged a substantial surcharge from Montrose when we go over a certain limit. We're trying to lower that, not to hit that surcharge, but with George's help, we're trying to increase the amount of water from Peekskill versus Montrose to try to balance that out.
And the surcharge is in the order of tens of thousands of dollars
Absolutely.
per quarter, I believe, per month. Yeah.
It's every month.
And it's, okay.
Good,
That's
Steve?
all I have.
Okay. Dan, what do you have for us?
I mean, the only thing I have is the IMA, where we stand with it. I mean, if we want to talk about it in executive session, that's fine, but it's been quite some time since we, revisited it. And just like to know where we
Hey,
stand with it.
Teresa,
Yes, ma'am.
I'd be happy to take that one. So I think most of you are aware that George, Marcus and I and Steve met, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. And we got through in 3.5 hours, we got through probably 75% of the document. And then George and I were able to meet last week again to finish it up. But then I got COVID, and so I have not finalized the draft, but it will be to you by the end of this weekend. I've got everybody's notes that wanted to be heard, and I just have to do I'm going to take the document from the time Tom Wood sent it back. I don't know what the date is on that one anymore. And then,
I believe it was August, was it not?
yeah, it could have been August. And then and I'll make all the changes that we have now, or those of us that have been involved believe are fair and accurate, including the fact that it's going to be limited to the Montrose area, because that's what I'm told, that the board was told 5 or 6 times during your meetings.
Correct.
So that will be there. I'll try to get that to you by like Sunday afternoon, so you have it, in time for it to read through, ask questions on Tuesday's meeting.
Okay.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Seth.
Yep.
Anything else, Dan? No?
No.
Mr. Anthony Capicotti, what do you have for us? Or trustee Capicotti?
Thank you, Mayor. No, I'm glad that Dan brought it up. It has been a while since we heard about the IMA. It's something that's important, and it's good that the public is kept in the loop, what's going on. Also, I want to thank the wall board men that came in. It's good to have a good relationship with you guys. I think it's important. You are a long living facility in our area that, I remember since I was a kid, riding my dirt bike back there. But anyway, it's good that you're here, and it's good that we're building a relationship, and thank you for coming in. Other than that, really, Mayor, I have nothing else.
Okay,
Just see you next week.
yes. I just have a few things. Buchanan sponsors Pearl Harbor Day this year. So it will be on Pearl Harbor Day, and it'll be here at Village Hall. We're just finalizing the time, 4 or 5 o'clock. We haven't finalized that yet. So we'll have the ceremony and all the veterans come. So we like to, give them a little bite to eat after the ceremony. It was mentioned about a month or 2 months ago about the signs, the Welcome to Buchanan signs. We are working on that. Hopefully by next week or the workshop, we'll be able to, next November workshop, we'll be able to, I'll be able to present that to the board and to get approval on that. We had 2 signs that are on 9A, and originally we had 3 signs out by Lentz Cove. So I'd like to reinstall the one over by Lentz Cove. So, but I will, we'll get the board those, what that is. And wouldn't that be nice with that sign there? We could put like a little underneath it, maybe Lentz Cove, and then maybe a little arrow for certainty. So just a thought. So anyhow,
The
So-
home of certainty.
that's
There you go.
it. Former home of Entergy. So, yeah, just food for thought. Anyhow, so that's all I have. Anybody from the audience? You may. No, we usually, I like to hear, we all like
Yeah.
to hear public comment.
I,
That's fine.
um,
That's why.
Wondering, I know the board at some point will go back to this issue of lot coverage that was being considered. And I had some,
Oh, boy.
we have a little, okay, I had some concerns about it. I think that the board needs to consider a lot of the variations that can occur. Like while it might make perfect sense to allow more lot coverage on one property, it may not on others. There are people in the village who have had problems with runoff. And one of the primary reasons to have a lot coverage limit is because of runoff. Impervious surfaces just channel all the water somewhere. And that could be the neighbor's property. So I would caution the board against any blanket change to lot coverage. There may be ways to do it on a limited basis for certain properties. You know that a lot of the small, older properties in the more center of village area around the circle, the older homes, almost all of them have more than the currently allowed 30% lot coverage because they were built on very small lots. There are some that are like, 75% lot coverage because there's just enough room for a house and a driveway. So while it might make sense for little properties like that, they're already grandfathered in. If you go from 30 to 35 or to 30 to 40% on somebody that has an acre, you're talking about a pretty large area. There are houses in the village that are less than 1/8 of an acre. There are houses that have 2 acres or more. So a blanket number would really be, as a percentage of the property would be a problem. Now, being that part of the issue is runoff, you might consider some smaller percentage for surfaces that are not impervious, like if you did a patio that was pebble or that water could get through. They might, right now there are certain things that, like a patio where that is not, does not have mortar, where water can get through it, that might count as part of the person's lot coverage. They might want to look at something to do with the surfaces that are that allow water through them, as opposed to impervious surfaces, and maybe consider a small percentage increase for lots below a certain size. But I just think that you have to look at a lot of the different aspects of how this could affect a lot of people, and rather than just come out with a blanket percentage. I think what we have works well, and it gives the board gives the village, the engineer, the inspector, and the zoning board, it gives them discretion to review individual cases. If you go to a blanket larger number, we would lose that. It could create problems for some people. So I just want to express that the board should take some time to look at that and be careful with the, with the outcome of it. Thanks.
Thank you, Nick.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no other comments, I would like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel and confidential legal matters. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Thanks.